Well, folks, good day to you, one and all, and the very last round of sports and GT Masters. Well, it's been a long time coming, and it is here upon us once again in studio, in the second year studio, the voice of Western Province Motorsport, Frankie Yennis. Frankie, good evening to you.
Good evening, Gary, and good evening, everybody watching this production, and joining us, Mike's side, from Yo Stasi and from Rage Racing and Rage Productions, Mr. FC Nivout. FC, good evening, sir.
Lovely to be back in the second gear studio for the 10th round of the Sports and GT Master Series.
Yeah, 21 degrees Celsius out there, clear skies, 10k an hour wind, 94% chance of rain. I don't quite know about that. 3.9 k's is the circuit, and we come to you from Bowmanville in Canada.
Yeah, that is in the Ontario region, about 64 kilometers from Toronto, out in Canada. And we are at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, previously known as the Mosport Park International Raceway at Bowmanville in Canada. And of course, the track opening in 1961. They actually built it out in the 1950s, but the very first race taking part only in 1961. So a rich history here for the circuit, where the guys will be campaigning these Honda HDBs around the circuit tonight.
Yeah, it was also a circuit that hosted a Formula One Grand Prix in the 60s as well for Canada. That's before it shifted to where it is right now. So the drivers out on the track in the Honda HPDs, that's the Honda prototype development vehicles out there. And we see the guys out on the circuit already trying to put in those fast laps to see who can stick those things there in P1.
Well, as they go out onto the circuit, everybody gets a out lap, then they go onto a flying lap, and then as soon as they've done their second lap, the times start coming through, which is around about now. And Frankie, who's at the front of the field so far? Johan Fourie.
He's just done a 107 odd, has Johan Fourie, and we watch him go around there. Well, I tell you what, who's going to beat that? They were doing 107s in as Willem Botha loses the Denso sponsored HPD out there on the circuit. They were doing 107s in practice, and I think Johan was doing a 107. It
was a 107. Well, it was actually a 107.2 was the fastest lap I saw from practice. So yeah, let's see how close those guys can get. Remember, they do add fuel and all those kind of things for the qualifying laps as well, to see how the car handles and develops throughout the race. And they will be starting with 25 kilograms of fuel. Yeah. So that is something to keep an eye on how that plays is strategy-wise. But Willem Botha, the man currently in that second position on a 107.88. And as I say it, Graham Stephen pips him down one more by putting up a time of 1 minute to 7 seconds, .795.
Well, Frankie, we watched Graham Stephen have a massive battle with Clinton Mercedes on a Monday night. Will this be another one of his brilliant outings?
Oh, Michael Stephen that had a go with him Monday evening. And I'll tell you what, that was an awesome one. Yes, either way, it was one of the Stephen family members. You're quite right there, Gary. So 107.3 for Johan Fourie. The first 5 drivers doing 107s. Where's Luke Lucchesi? He's just popped up into that 4th position with a PB of a 107.857.
Francois Hubert actually managed to put up a time as well. He's in that second position now with a 107.355. For a moment, I think he thought he was going fastest, and then Fourie improved on that time with a 1 minute to 7.331.
And then Luke Lucchesi there in that 4th place with a 107.857. Willem Botha with a 107.880. And then Peter van der Spey in the top half a dozen with a 108.003.
Well, this is... unfortunately, he's not going to be going. I thought he was going to be going for a fast lap there. Graham Stephen looking to see if he could get higher up. Andre Steenkamp has finished his lap as well. As we said, once you've done your 2 laps, the computer says to you, thanks, cheers, and goodbye. There's Peter Hubert going back into the pits. And that is the qualifying session done. Only a 5-minute qualifying session, so not much time. Let's have a look at the grid.
So, round 10 of the championship puts Johan Fourie and Francois Hubert on the front row of the grid, with the Graham Stephen and Luc Lucchesi on the second row.
Row number 3 will see Willem Botha take on the mighty Peter van der Spey. Captain Pete out there in that 6th position, with Peter Hubert and Andre Steenkamp filling up row number 4.
Row 5 is Sways Hubert and Johan Engelbrecht, and row number 6, Robbie Teings and Sandro Bakari.
Row number 7 sees Gerald Mauger with Wayne Camage pulling up alongside him, followed by Raymond Duggan and Herman Lazarus in that, is that row number 8? Yeah,
Yep.
row number 8.
Row 9, Leonardo Bakari and Eugene Manouk, and row 10, Mike Verrier and Stephen McCarthy. 10 rows, 20 drivers in Honda HPDs.
Oh, it's going to be something else. Well, that's how they line up. And once again, that front row, Johan Fourie and Francois Hubert. How's it going to go down into turn number 1? Anything is possible. Let's have a look at that track map, and that you can see that is where they are starting. And once they get off the line, that very first corner is that right-hander that they go through from the start line and then up into Clayton corner. Quebec corner is turn number 3. It looks like it's going to be a rolling start. Yes, it is, behind the pace car. So that's the start line. That's through turn number 1 that you see them going through there now. And then the next one will be a long straight, and then there was going to be almost a blind rise and drop off. So not there. That's actually a lovely shot, Frankie, to show you how the track actually drops off. So the entrance to that corner to pick up the apex is not going to be easy at all. And that is Clayton corner. They call it 2 and 2A. I don't know why they've got this A, B, and C's on this circuit. Going a short little straight behind the pace vehicle down towards Quebec corner. That's a right-hander, and it's pretty much like Pertamina Fastron down at Killarney International Raceway. It literally turns almost 180 degrees to come back on you, and then you get into a very long what they call turn 4, but frankly it's pretty much flat foot all the way through.
They've now just started their second sector. You can see the red dots on the track. So from the start line to where they are now is sector 1. They're working their way now through sector 2 into a Moss corner. Very tricky, a double right-hander there is a Moss corner.
Strictly speaking, a triple right-hander if you look at how they lay it out with corner 5C.
Turn 5C isn't really a corner, but okay, fine. They call it part of Moss corner. And then they make their way down the Mario Andretti straightaway. That's a very, very, very long straight FC that will drop them down into the S's, and then the final corner, White's corner, before they hit the home straight.
Yeah, that's the Mario Andretti straightaway that they're on now. On that straight, this will pretty much be a flat foot section as well, even though they've got 2 corners listed on the official track map there. But it's basically flat foot. That'll be turn number 7 that they go past there in that shot now. That'll lead it down into turn number 8, which is the start of the S's complex. That'll be that right-hander that they go into now, following into the left-hander into turn 9. And then that right-hander, turn number 10, White's corner, before you take your dash down the main straight to start your next lap.
And there you can see FC, they're heading halfway through sector 3 now towards the start line as the safety vehicle pulls into pit lane.
And boogity, 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 we are racing, folks, in North America and Canada. It is round number 10 of the Sports and GT Master Series as they're all underway. And it is Johan Fourie that leads them into turn number 1. And already a bunch of cars off into that first corner. That was a big hit for Andre Steenkamp with the Batmobile as he gets dropped down all the way to the back end of the field.
Oh, Raymond Duggan right off there and bang into the tyre wall. There's 2 cars that's gone off there. I think it might be the 8 Ball 24/7 car. It's Mike Berry that's gone off with him as well. But right up front, it is Johan Fourie from Francois Hubert, from Graham Stephen, from Luc Lucchesi. That is your front 4 at this point in time. Now they're going to hammer it down the Mario Andretti straightaway.
Down that long straightaway they go now, all racked and stacked and packed behind each other there. Behind Lucchesi, it's Peter van der Spey, followed by Peter Hubert, Sways Hubert, Johan Engelbrecht, Sandro Bakari, Robbie Teens, Gerald Mauger, Wayne Camage, Herman Lazarus, Leonardo Bakari riding on board there with Colin Plitt, and behind him you've got the likes there of Stephen McCarthy, Willem Botha, Raymond Duggan, Eugene Manouk, Mike Verrier, and Andre Steenkamp.
Right through the S's and White's corner onto the home straight they go. Lap number 1 is in the bag, working their way now out of turn 1, going into a Clayton corner. And it is Johan Fourie from Francois Hubert. He's 6/10 of a second ahead there of Francois Hubert is Johan Fourie. Hubert is 7/10 of a second ahead of Graham Stephen, who's a second ahead there of Luke Lucchesi, and they are beginning to break away now. Well, Peter van der Spey is only 1.1 seconds behind Luke Lucchesi, and right on his case, a 10th of a second behind him is Peter Hubert in the DHL car.
Yeah, Peter Hubert right there on the case of Peter van der Spey, but Lucchesi moves up past Graham Stephen. Stephen must have made a big mistake somewhere, as he is now just dropping down the field. Peter Hubert also getting past him. Now he's there in front of Swiss Hubert, as Hubert is 2/10 of a second behind him, but Stephen not giving up. Let's have a look here what happened. Doesn't look like much unless it happened here in this corner. Yeah, just ran it a bit wide, got the car sideways, and that just parked him right in that corner and lost him a whole bunch of positions.
A lot of places lost there by him as we look at Johan Fourie with the Francois Hubert right in there behind him, and Francois is the fastest man out there with a 108.157 sitting out there in P2, 6/10 of a second behind race leader Johan Fourie. Luke Lucchesi is now 2.1 seconds behind Francois Hubert. Luke out there in that third position. Look at Willem Botha. He's just got the quickest lap there in P16 FC, a 108.144.
Yeah, Willem Botha setting that fastest time out there, but the times will tumble quite fast out here in Canada Tire Motorsport Park as the guys battle it out there, riding on board with Luke Lucchesi. Oh, somebody's parked at the exit of that corner. Who is that? That was parked out there. Somebody made a big mistake and planted himself on the exit of that corner.
Yeah, Luke Lucchesi doesn't seem to be very happy out there. He's now 2.3 seconds behind Francois Hubert. He's losing a little bit of ground there to Johan and to Francois. He is in a comfortable third position because Peter van der Spey in P4 is 2.7 seconds behind Luke Lucchesi. So as they come out of White's corner, Lucchesi not that happy out there. A replay at Raymond Duggan.
That was Raymond Duggan, yeah, that was parked out there. Just that had a bit of trouble.
Yeah, that was the problem out there. Ooh, and then spinning it around once again there is Raymond Duggan.
That takes up lots and lots of time. Well, that's proof that they've got reverse gear and that it's got a strong wing. A nice South African flag on the back of that motor car. Let's go back to the front end of the field. It's all about that man, Johan Fourie, that leads out, but not getting away this time. Not at all. Francois Hubert's right in there, 0.7 of a second.
Yeah, there's a lovely fight going out there for P8. These guys are chasing down Johan Engelbrecht. As a matter of fact, it's P7. They're all chasing down Sandro Bakar, who's now got his nose ahead there. And Swiss Hubert dropping down that leaderboard. But it is Engelbrecht, Teens, Mujay, Camage, Graham Stephen and Herman Lazarus. They're all over the back of Sandro Bakari that is there in that sixth position.
This is where Swiss lost out with the DHL car. I think we're going to see lots of replays on the same spot, and they just went piling past. They were very close to one another at that stage of the fight. So Robbie Teens, but let's look at that fact just a little bit further back. Remember, Graham Stephen is another Luke Lucchesi style driver. He can work his way through the pack.
Now keep an eye there on him. He got it all wrong in the beginning and started losing positions. That's why he's down there in that 11th position. And he is right on the case there of Wayne Camage, who's all over the back of Gerald Mujay. And Mujay is crowding the back end there of Robbie Teens, who's 1.8 seconds behind Johan Engelbrecht. So it's a lovely fight out there, FC, in that mid-pack.
A lovely fight indeed, Frankie. And it does look like these cars are extremely twitchy and extremely difficult to drive.
Nervous cars.
Yeah, very, very nervous as they're all racked and stacked there behind each other. Anything can basically happen in a fight with these guys as we're riding about there with Graham Stephen. He's got Wayne Camage, Gerald Leger, Robbie Teens, everybody in front of them there with Herman Lazarus also not too far behind him.
Yeah, and the 1.9 seconds, make it 2 seconds behind Herman is Leonardo Bakari. So it's a lovely, lovely battle royal out there for that mid-pack. And they're all chasing down the man that is in 8th position, named Robbie Teens. Johan Engelbrecht in turn in P7 is 0.8 of a second behind Sandro Bakari. Sandro goes to the shot in that red car right behind him. You see Johan Engelbrecht as we ride aboard with the 99 Honda HPD of Johan Engelbrecht.
Speaking of Johan Engelbrecht, am I correct in saying I heard some news this week that he's now officially hung up his full-time racing gloves and traded it in for his iRacing steering wheel?
quite possible. He used to race the Porsche out at Killarney main circuit, the Jogger Porsche. So yeah, I think that is very much possible that he is now traded that lot in for the iRacing.
Going back to the front end of the field, it's Johan Ferry that's got a bit of a problem, and that problem is called Francois Joubert. Once again, Francois Joubert in that second, third position, but pressurizing whoever's up front.
Yeah, that is Francois Joubert, who's right there up against the case there of Johan Ferry. They are slightly starting to pull away there from Lucchesi, but Lucchesi's up the pace, and he's actually brought that 2-second gap down to 1 second, and he's now starting to figure out the lines. We could see in practice he wasn't very happy with the lines that he was taking with this car. Even in qualifying, you know, he's always going to be fast, but he just wasn't in that sweet spot. And it looks, the more he's now racing this car, the more he seems to get, a problem there for Francois Joubert as he goes off the circuit slightly.
That cost him big time. Let's go a little bit further down to that Johan Engelbrecht fight. And Johan Engelbrecht finds himself not far off Sandro Bakari. But let's go a little bit further back. Willem Botha, Frankie, he's getting himself onto the back of that high-speed train.
Yeah, Botha's catching up onto the back end of Lazarus and Mouget, and they were over the back end of Graham Stephen. And we just saw that Peter Joubert and Luc Lucchesi still in that third and fourth positions. But that fight that we are back on with now is that battle out there for midfield. As that
Luc Lucchesi had a spin.
Yep,
Luc Lucchesi had a spin. That was what it was all about. Let's see if we can pick up that one. Wow. Oh, the back end just broke away from him completely. And hello from behind. And that drops Luc Lucchesi down. Joubert is running in a second and a third position. Back with that Willem Botha just outside of the top 10. Herman Lazarus on the cheapercars.co.za got lots and lots of pressure.
Yeah, he's got missile lock there on Lazarus as Willem Botha, and one would fancy Willem's chances of making a move somewhere. There's Lazarus, there's Botha. Botha seems to be a lot quicker. Up on the inside, thanks for coming. Bang, through he goes. And Botha moves himself into P10, into that top 10. Is Botha, but he's got some work to do now if he wants to go after the man in P9, namely Graham Stevens.
And slightly ahead of that, the Johan Engelbrecht battle, that one carries on FC as well.
Yeah, that one carrying on there as Johan Engelbrecht is less than half a second behind Sandro Bakari. He desperately wants to catch up to Bakari in that Ferrari-coloured Honda HPD as they chase down here. Is that the Andretti straight? Yeah, Andretti straightaway into turn number 8.
Yeah, going through the S's now. Trouble out here. Stephen McCarthy is one of them that's in serious trouble out there in the Sujin 44 HPD.
And the man with him is Wayne Camage. Yep.
Yeah, Wayne Camage was the other one.
Wow.
Well,
Big stuff.
I must say, Sports and GT making us work for it tonight. Lots of action all over the circuit. But a man who's not seeing any action is this man who's leading this race, Johan Ferry, out in the Patron green and black Honda. Behind him, Francois Joubert has managed to get back that second position after making a slight error earlier. About 4 seconds behind him, we've got the DHL car there of Peter Joubert with Luc Lucchesi a further 2, almost 3 seconds adrift.
I see Wayne Camage is in pit lane, and that's understandable. He made that contact with McCarthy, and he's exited into the pits. He's making his way back out of the pits. Is Wayne Camage, but we are riding aboard here with Peter van der Spey. Van der Spey is being chased there by Sandro Bakari. There goes Van der Spey. Here comes Sandro Bakari. Sandro Bakari right there on his case. Johan Engelbrecht only 1.2 seconds behind him, and Robbie Teams only 1.7 seconds behind Engelbrecht, but Sandro Bakari is crowding the back end there of the Van der Spey HPD.
Yeah, it is Sandro Bakari that's putting a lot of pressure there on Peter van der Spey. And I was thinking, geez, who's that pink lap car or that car that they're about to lap ahead of them? That's not a lap car. That's Luc Lucchesi, who's only 2 seconds ahead of them.
No, you don't lap Luc Lucchesi. Luc Lucchesi goes off and then he comes back at you. So Sandro Bakari right there in front, looking at the back of Peter van der Spey once again in the top 5. Johan Engelbrecht, let's just look a little bit back from that same motor car. And there's Johan Engelbrecht right there in behind them. The three very close to one another.
Only 4/10 of a second separating Bakari and Engelbrecht. And Bakari only 4/10 of a second between himself and Captain Peter van der Spey. So the two of them, Bakar and Engelbrecht, all over the back of Van der Spey, challenging Peter there for that fifth position. Graham Stephen is also a man that's on the move, and he's put the move there on Robbie Teams.
Graham Stephen managing to get past there and just pulls a gap on them like you haven't seen before. That is a brilliant maneuver there by Graham Stephen in that 8th position. Behind him, Robbie Teams, he's got his hands full because he's got a very, very hard charging Willem Botha tucked in right underneath him. Let's have a look here what happened to Gerald Moget.
That famous corner.
The famous
corner.
Yeah.
There we go.
Tail breaks out.
You can either go straight or you can just lose the tail end, but either way, that's where it's going to happen. Frankie, from the top down, Johan Fourie leading them out.
Johan Fourie 2.3 seconds ahead there of Francois Hubert, and he's just coming into his own. He's Fourie with Hubert in that second position. He's 4.7 seconds ahead of Peter Hubert, who is 2.7 seconds ahead of Luc Lucchesi. Then Peter van der Spey, 4.1 seconds behind Lucchesi, but he's got hassles. He's got hassles, and it's called Sandro Bakari and Johan Engelbrecht in P6 and 7, all over the back of the man in P5, Peter van der Spey.
Yeah, Peter van der Spey out there having a lot of trouble. He runs a bit wide, and it's Bakari's got his nose up on the inside, makes the passing maneuver. Brilliant move there from Sandro Bakari, and now van der Spey in trouble because here comes Johan Engelbrecht.
Yeah, Engelbrecht says, come on, Van der Spey, get a move on. I have got to get off the Sandro Bakari. They are all over the back of Sandro Bakari. Van der Spey will not give in. Bakari will not give in. This man to ride aboard with now. Engelbrecht will never give in up on the inside. No, he's not going to make the move there on Captain Pete. He's not going to give that position away. Van der Spey is now going to go into defensive mode, and that will allow Bakari to break away. And watch out for this, because if they bog each other down, Graham Stephen will come into play.
Well, let's just have a look at the last lap times that they've done. And as always, Luc Lucchesi, 107.434. He's done the fastest lap overall. And in fact, that is the fastest lap so far for the race.
But if you have a look at that, I just spoke about Graham Stephen catching Van der Spey and Engelbrecht FC. You can see that Stephen was the quicker of those three. They all do 109s, and Graham is doing a 108.3.
Yeah, well, Graham Stevens got that bit of open track ahead of him to try and chase down these guys. These guys are all battling for position out there, so that will definitely cost you a second or two while you're battling it out there. But let's have a look. Is Johan Engelbrecht going to go for it this lap around as they go into turn number 1? What happened here to Willem Botha in the Toyota Denso car? Just had to climb too hard on the brakes not to collect Robbie Teens ahead of him.
And a bit of curbstone as well. And that was Herman Lazarus in the cheapercars.co.za that came diving through there. So Johan Engelbrecht finds himself in there behind Peter van der Spey. Very, very close is Peter van der Spey to Sandro Bakari. And that's the biggest battle right now. 14 minutes, 14 and a half minutes of the 45 that's gone. And except for Andre Steenkamp and Mike Verrier, both of them are out of the race. Everybody else still on the lead lap.
Well, they said 25% fuel FC on a 45-minute race. We're on lap number 14. Johan Fourie doing a PB. They have a 107.378. I just wonder exactly when those pit stops are going to take place. I reckon 25 minutes. And then they're going to start diving into the pit area anytime from then onwards. Is
there going to be pit stops? I would tend to think so, keeping in mind, FC, that we're running on 25 kilograms of fuel, very much Formula One style, where you determine the amount of fuel that goes in the car purely by the weight of the fuel. Knowing Mike, you're probably going to find there's going to be a stop in between. Knowing Mike, can you do it on a one-stopper? Well, who knows?
I doubt it very much, FC. We're going to do it on a one-stopper. But talking about that, here comes Van der Spey, Peter van der Spey, only 0.6 of a second behind Sandro Bakari, Sandro P5. Peter is out there in P6 under the Mobile One bridge they go. As he is right there with him, and Luke is coming in there into the picture behind them. 2.1 seconds behind them, it's Graham Stephen. Here comes Graham. You can see the two of them fighting it out there for that 5th position. as Fourie does a 107.334.
Yeah, Johan Fourie putting up that personal or the overall best lap so far of the race with that 107.334. Then Francois Hubert 2 seconds down from him, but we are riding on board with Graham Stephen, who's doing all he can to catch up there to the back of Peter van der Spey, and he wants to try and catch up there to make a maneuver there on Peter van der Spey, because he can see van der Spey is quick but not that comfortable out there as well, as he got passed there by Sandro Bakari.
Frankie, as you can see, the lap time or just done by Graham Stephen once again, as you picked up just now, quicker than Peter van der Spey and Sandro Bakari as well.
Yeah, and Willem Botha just got his nose back ahead there of Herman Lazarus again. Remember when Botha made that mistake, Lazarus went through, and Willem has gone back up into that 9th position. So it's been a hell of a fight out there so far, in a battle for Willem Botha. No fight, no battle, no problem out there for this man that dives into pit lane. Race leader Johan Fourie. I said 25 minutes. Oh, let's make that 17 minutes.
17 minutes, lap number 15.
And look who follows.
Johan Fourie and Francois Hubert both dive into the pit, and that
Peter
leaves
Hubert
Peter
goes through.
Hubert to now take the lead of this race.
So what does Luke Bekisi do? Does he follow suit? Nope, Luke Bekisi goes through as well. What about Sandro Bakari? Sandro Bakari also runs through. Peter van der Spey runs through as well. Graham Stephen runs through as well. So it's only Johan Fourie and Francois Hubert. But frankly, we're accustomed to Johan Fourie doing the undercut.
Well. Yeah, he doesn't need to do no undercut right now. He's the man that was leading this one. So he'll just want to stay in front, and he's not going to hassle too much about undercut or overcut, because the guy that he's fighting with came into the pits at exactly the same time as what he did. So it's going to be a straight line fight between the two of them for P1 and P2, barring unforeseen circumstances.
Well, FC while it's there, let's say it, Peter Hubert leads this race, because it's probably not going to be for very long. He's 4 points odd ahead of Luke Bekisi, Sandro Bakari, Peter Graham, Robbie Tings, Herman Lazarus. They all went through. The first, the fastest, the quickest, the highest up of the guys already through the pit lane is Johan Fourie and Francois Hubert, and the next one is in. It's Peter Hubert.
Yep.
It's Luke Bekisi that goes in as well. What does Sandro Bakari do?
Sandro Bakari FC dives into pit lane, and behind him Peter van der Spey and Graham Stephen.
Yeah, all of them dive in there. And I was about to say, we normally used to seeing Luke Bekisi just eke out that extra lap or two from a stint, and that's what almost played into his part in the 6 hour that we had a couple of weeks back. But unfortunately, only one extra lap there for Lucchesi, as he is in the pits now as well. And that now puts Robbie Teens in the lead of this race.
So, Frankie, there we go. Let's say it. Who's leading this race? Robbie Teens.
Yeah.
Well done, Robbie. But he's still got that pit stop to go.
And Luke is right in there behind him, Fourie and Hubert. So they have done it 100% spot on. Yeah, I'll tell you what, they only had 25 kilos of fuel. They're all pitted on lap numbers, on 17 minutes. Guys, are they going to get to 45 minutes, or might we see a splash and dash?
My question is, and I'm asking this purely because I don't know, when they say 25 kilos of fuel, is that the maximum you're allowed to take on at each and any pit stop?
I would tend to think so, yes, but I speak under correction. Your starting load is 25, so probably up. Here he comes into the pits. Robbie Teens, well, there was a time that Robbie Teens led the race, and it's going to be that man, Johan Fourie, that's going to go back to the front end of the field. But FC, I would tend to think if you're allowed 25 kilos for starters, surely you would take the whole essence of the pit stops and what have you out of it if you allowed the guy to now throw 100 liters in and ride for the next 6 hours, should it be a 5-hour race kind of thing. So, yes, I would tend to think it would be 25. Having said that, they've come in inside of 20 minutes. Does that mean there's a second round of pit stops?
Hell yeah.
I could have been right.
But that's what I said. Are we going to see a splash and dash? Well, so Fourie coming up, put a lap there on McCarthy, as Robbie Teens makes his way out onto the circuit once again. Robbie will rejoin in that 10th position. Engelbrecht just bombed past him there. So Graham Stephen has got Peter van der Spey right in there behind him, 4/10 of a second between Graham and Peter, fighting it out there for that 6th position. Graham Stephen applying some severe pressure there to Captain Peter van der Spey as a race under the Mobile 1 bridge. That is down that long Mario Andretti straight. which will take them down towards the S's.
Their FC is the last lap times that they have done, and that'll give you a pretty good indication next time they come around, because remember, those 1 minute 33s, that is including a pit stop.
Yeah, that's definitely including a pit stop, so we'll have a look and see what those lap times are. But there, Graham Stephen sitting there in that 7th position. He's right on the case of Peter van der Spy. There's not a lot in between them. It's like 0.3 of a second, and that's how close it is between the round. Oh, Stephen makes a mistake, runs it off into the gravel slightly.
Yeah, you can see he went into that right hand. It's a little bit too hot. Graham Stephen caught it very nicely, I must say. He lost a bit of ground there now to Captain Pete, nearly a second behind him. But he will make that up once again, and then Van der Spy will have to go into defense mode to keep Stephen in there behind him.
Well, there you can see the times that was actually standstill in the pits. And if you look at that FC, not much in it. 13.7, 13.9, 14.1. I suppose as the car stops, you've got to hit the button, and it's literally fastest finger first to make it happen. The only one that had a longer stop than that was Herman Lazarus. He was on 29.7. So for some other reason, maybe he did a light repair or something similar, but there is 3 fast repairs per vehicle. So not sure of that timing. 22 minutes of the 45, and into the pits goes Peter van der Spy.
Yeah, Captain Pete into the pits there for his pit stop. And you were talking about a long pit stop there for Herman Lazarus. Just look at that pit time for Raymond Duggan. 1:54 after that big off that he had on circuit.
Yeah, trouble out there for Duggan. Let's hope that we will see him back out on track again as Captain Pete pulls into his bay.
But Frankie, that's his second stop. He has been in once before.
Yeah, I think
yes.
So. Johan Fourie busy still making his way around, and he is 3 seconds ahead there of Francois Hubert, and he is absolutely pulling the pin here on Francois Hubert. He's going to come up to lap Leonardo Bakari. He is Johan Fourie, as Peter Hubert sitting out there in that 3rd position, and he's 4.7 seconds behind Francois Hubert.
Those gaps pretty much similar to what they were before they all dove into the pits. The only one that seems to have actually lost a bit of ground is Luke Lucchesi. Before the pit stops, he was 4 seconds behind Hubert. That's now dropped all the way to 5.2 seconds behind the likes of Peter Hubert is Luke Lucchesi. Further 7 seconds behind them, Sandro Bakari sitting in that 5th position, with Graham Stephen another 3.4 seconds behind them.
Okay, as we keep an eye here on Sandro Bakari, I just had a look up on the leaderboard. Luke Lucchesi is 5.1 seconds behind Peter Hubert. You would not bet against Luke Lucchesi for moving up at least into that 3rd position. Peter Hubert is quick and Hubert is fast, that we do know, but Lucchesi can be something different at any other point in time. So let's watch the times of Luke Lucchesi as this race goes on to see if he does close that gap on Peter Hubert in 3rd position.
Yeah, definitely, Frankie. But looking at this battle that we see here, a couple of laps back, we were seeing this exact fight for position. Something's gone horribly wrong for Peter van der Spy, because that was a fight
double pit stop
to be lapped.
Correct.
With that extra pit stop. And there was Sandro Bakari actually lapping Peter van der Spy, who's now all the way down in 15th.
Well, not good at all. So it is Johan Fourie that's leading them out, and I'm going to hazard a guess, although FC Nieuwe is our official pit guru, but will come up with the finer detail. He likes to look at the finer facts and figures of it, but I'm going to guess that they're going to be coming in again. Francois Hubert holding station, they're 3.5 behind Johan Fourie. Not, Frankie, able to pressurize Johan Fourie anymore, trying to hold on, I think, at this stage of the fight. A similar situation for that man in Peter Hubert. But then again, when you look at this guy, Luke Lucchesi, well, he's probably getting closer.
But yeah, it was 5.1. It's dropped, it's gone up to 5.2 now. So Lucchesi is not really making any indent. And FCI did say at the top end of the production that Lucchesi didn't seem very, very happy to me. It's almost like the car was too loose underneath him, and he just didn't seem to be enjoying it. It was almost like he was fighting more with the car. Could have just been my imagination, but yeah, right now, although he has pulled it back from 5.2 to 5 seconds, but that's not normally the Lucchese that we see.
Yeah, I mean, these cars are so twitchy. He must, to try to claw back that much time, you would probably find that he is on that edge, and a mistake is so close from happening that I won't be surprised if we see another mistake from Lucchese. Lucchese doesn't make all that many mistakes anymore. He's grown up, he's matured in the cars, but he's now so on the limit to just try and claw that back. I won't be surprised if there's another off.
I'm looking at on the leaderboard, Willem Botha is only a second behind Graham Stephen, and that is that fight. Now it's under a second for that sixth position. There you see Botha, and right ahead of him is Graham Stephen. So that sixth position could change. You're not going to just get past Graham Stephen that easily, even though your name is Willem Botha, and he's done a personal best of 107.820 as Johan Engelbrecht. So Engelbrecht could even be clawing his way towards that fight for P6 between Graham and Willem.
But look at Willem Botha, 107.6 and a 108 for Graham Stephen. So well picked up there, Frankie. Willem is closing right now on the Graham Stephen.
Well, look, I'm going to say it so far. My fight back of the evening so far is this man that we're riding on board with, Willem Botha, currently in that 7th position. He started in 5th. He dropped all the way almost to the back end of the field, and he's already worked his way back up to 7th with a very, very good drive.
Well, the biggest climber is Sandro Bakari so far. He's gone up 7 positions. Van der Spey has gone down 9, but that's because of the double pit stop. Sadly, Andre Steenkamp and Mike Verrier no longer taking part in this one, as Willem Botha is now all over the gearbox and that back wing of that Honda of Graham Stephen.
Pressure starting to show there, FC.
A lot smoother from Willem Botha. You could see Graham Stephen ran very wide into that corner, and that's actually helped Willem Botha a lot. So Botha being very, very quick there. Look, he's right up on the back bumper of Graham Stephen.
Well, this one's not done and dusted yet. We know that they're both excellent iRacing drivers. To catch Graham is one thing, to overtake is another. He will have that slipstream going into turn number 1. From turn 1, they'll go into Clayton Corner. They're working their way up towards Clayton Corner. It's a blind rise. It drops off to the left, and it literally doubles up on you ever so slightly. Now they'll go into turn number 3, Quebec, and it is Botha once again.
Oh no!
And gets nailed there by... Who nailed him there?
I think that was Willem Botha that crashed. Was Peter van der Spey was the next man in. Peter van der Spey was in fact a lap down at that position when he came through
Johan
the corner.
Engelbrecht's the other one.
And he had just had nowhere to go. Oh, Johan Engelbrecht in there as well. Well, it all started off with the Willem Botha incident. And, well, he tried so hard. He stuck it up nice and neatly. They made a bit of contact. It just kept on going on him. Coming around the blind corner, nowhere to go. Peter van der Spey, well, unfortunately, that has cost him even more dearly than earlier on.
Actually, Gary, if you go back to that replay, you could see Willem Botha was still very much on the power when Graham Stephen's brake lights came on. And Graham Stephen just completely caught Willem Botha off guard with where the brakes was. And that's what caused Willem to just slam onto the brakes. And that's what he dove for, that inside to try not make contact. And that's just put him into that spin.
Well, Frankie, that's now put Johan Engelbrecht, Peter van der Spey, Wayne Camage, and Eugene Manouk all into the pit. Willem Botha now entering the pits as well.
Yeah, but he's backing to get that car into the pit lane. It doesn't want to turn.
That was either anger or damage.
Doesn't want to turn. Doesn't want to go straight.
Or both.
Do any damn thing. So got it there into the pits. But the biggest loser here in that incident was certainly Johan Engelbrecht, who was in that top 10. He's in the pits, and he will be absolutely gutted and miffed at that point. Yes, it was a racing incident for sure. But right now, I don't think Johan Engelbrecht will see it that way.
But Johan Fourie is the man that leads this race, and he's still being chased down by Francois Hubert, who's 2.3 seconds behind him in that P2 position. In P3, Peter Hubert finds himself in a very favorable position, but look who is upping the pace. It's Luke Lucchese in P4.
Yeah, now only 4 seconds behind Peter Hubert. He's got about 15 minutes left to try and get his nose ahead of Peter Hubert. He's 4.2 seconds behind him. Not a happy camper out there. You can see that Honda of his is all over the place. Oh, and he is really fighting that motor car. Sander Bakari in P5, 11.5 seconds behind Luke Lucchesi is Sander Bakari. Graham Stephen behind him in P6, 5.5 seconds. There is massive gaps, except Francois Hubert is only 1.3 seconds, make that 1.2 behind race leader Johan Fourie, but otherwise there is sizable gaps, gentlemen, between all the other drivers out there with 31 minutes done.
Did Fourie make a mistake, or is he fuel saving, or what's happening? Because Francois Hubert made up a full second in less than a couple of corners.
Correct, that's why I was saying he was 1.2 seconds behind him. He's, I'll tell you what, and look at Johan, a 108.6 his last lap compared to a 107.5 by Francois and a 107.9 by Peter and a 107.5 by Lucchesi. So yeah, not all was well out there for Johan Fourie doing a 108.
Yeah, but riding on board there with Robbie Teens in that 7th position. He's 12 seconds behind Graham Stephen, and he's got Sway Hubert a further 5 seconds adrift from him in that 8th position. And then you've got Gerald Maget, who finds himself in P9 with Herman Lazarus bringing in the top 10.
Then just out of that top 10, as we have a look at Herman Lazarus coming around the final corner. Just outside of the top 10 is poor Willem Botha. He's 19 seconds behind Lazarus. If anybody's had an absolute nightmare and a horror show today, once again off the track there is Willem Botha. This Honda HPD is just not working out for Willem Botha, and he'll be absolutely gutted. He'll be so sorry that he probably cost Engelbrecht a top 10. But yeah, it's just one of those things. It's racing, and she can be a very horrible mistress at times.
Let's have a look at that Willem Botha off track. What does it look like from inside the car? You do nothing wrong. You just run out of tar. That's all that it goes about. You got to do what you got to do.
But Willem Botha in that 11th position. Behind him, Stephen McCarthy finds himself in that 12th position, with Johan Engelbrecht that has now dropped all the way down to 13th position after coming through the field so nicely. Behind Engelbrecht, you've got Colin Plitt in that 14th position. He's 9 seconds behind Johan Engelbrecht, with the Captain Pete also having a horrid time out there after that second pit stop. Not sure why he had to have that second pit stop, but having gone in a second time and then having been involved with that incident with Willem Botha, dropping all the way down to 15th with Raymond Duggan and Leonardo Bakari behind him. Wayne Kamich, Eugene Manuk, Andre Steenkamp and Mike Verrier out.
Yeah, so look at Francois Hubert, who's 1.5 seconds now behind Fourie. It was 1.2. It's now gone up to 1.5. So Fourie is beginning to edge away ever so slightly. Somebody's gone. Is that?
That's the race leader. That's Johan Fourie.
That is indeed Johan Fourie that got it all wrong. Is that famous corner of ours?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That is turn number 5, Moss Corner, the entrance to Moss Corner. Normally we see people coming out of that corner, that second part, 5B. He actually lost it into 5A, a very weird place to have lost it, but that's handed this race on a silver platter to your new race leader, Francois Hubert.
Oh, that's not what Johan wants right now, and Johan is in pit lane. Now, if he's going to do a splash and dash, he might just use this situation that happened to him, FC, with 34 minutes done, to do a splash and dash, knowing that the others probably might have to do the same.
Looking on my telemetry here, I can tell you he didn't exit circuit and go back. He actually drove back to the pits, so he has not lost any additional time there at all as Johan Fourie now leaves the pits. And as you say, 35, another 10 minutes to go. I'm going to hazard a guess they've all got to go out once again. Keep an eye on Graham Stephen. He's pretty close now to the back of Johan Fourie. Can he stay there with him, or is those tires warm enough for Johan to hold onto that 5 and start going forwards?
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that. Can Johan Fourie recover from that mistake that he made into turn number 5, Moss Corner, and catch up back to Francois Hubert? Keeping in mind, everybody will probably have to pit one more time, except for Johan Fourie, who's had to dash in there now to try and make any kind of strategy work.
Remember, Frankie, that is Colin Plitt. That's directly in front of Johan. So that is 5th place coming up behind 13th position. The man that he's looking for, in fact, is a little bit further up the road, and that's Sandro Bakari having one of his best for a long time. Look at the front end. Francois Joubert is in. Francois Joubert is in the pits, and also in with him is Luc Lucchesi. It's on. It's on. Johan Verries pulling the move, Frankie.
That's what I said. You use that situation, gentlemen. It's a situation. I'm going to use it. I'm going to go to the pits. I can drive it back to the pits. I'm not far from pit lane. Let me get in, get the car sorted, put in fuel, maybe new rubber as Stephen McCarthy comes into pit lane. Johan Verries, the old warhorse, but I've just done it right again. Do not count Verries out for a possible win here.
Let's give Peter Joubert his due. Who's leading this race, FC?
Peter Joubert leading the race. I don't think anybody was planning on coming in just yet. I think they were...
Again, can you believe it? Peter Joubert is involved in that one. Oh man, it's all turning completely pear-shaped, completely upside down. Who is going to come out tops with this one? Well, if you're a betting man, you will not put any money on this. He is going for the stop that he has to go. So, can we say for once Sandro Bakari leads this race? No, we can't, because Sandro Bakari works his way into the pits. Francois Joubert will go back to the lead.
Yeah, Francois Joubert goes back into the lead. Johan Verries is 2.3 seconds behind him. So luckily, not too much time that was lost there for Verries. Managed to get into the pits quickly and get through that pit stop. And like I was trying to say just before that incident with the Peter Joubert and Captain Pete, as I don't think anybody was planning on coming in just yet. I think they may have tried to eke it out, and then they tried to cover off Johan Verries diving into the pits.
I was just going to say, you're probably right, MC, but the moment they saw that Johan went in, they thought, listen here, if he goes in and we stay out too late, then we're going to be on a hiding second to none. Verries going to eat us up and spit us out whenever he wants to, wherever he wants to. So if he goes, you normally see in Formula 1, do what he doesn't do. In this case, they did what he did.
Yeah, do what I do in this case. Francois Joubert leads them. Johan Verries in that second position. Luc Lucchesi being a beneficiary of that pit stop round as well. And Peter Joubert being involved with the tussle there with Captain Pete, as Lucchesi now has worked his way up into P3.
And there's the confirmation. The 3 stoppers is in fact Colin Blitt, Raymond Duggan. He was involved in an incident. And Peter van der Spey, Frankie, there's confirmation of it. That is why he was in that situation where they were having a battle. The next time you saw the same 2 cars together, it was actually for Peter van der Spey that was going to go a lap down, and that because of that extra stop. And it looks like Suisse Joubert has now gone into the pits as well. So it looks like Suisse Joubert is going to battle to hold on to a top 10 position.
Yeah, Suisse Joubert.
Well, he is 42 seconds ahead of Willem Botha, so he might actually still hang on to that 8th position.
42 should do it. If you take the amount of standing time, we were looking at about 13 to 14 seconds. As Sandro Bakari closes up in the back of Robbie Teings. Can Willem Botha make up that one? Suisse is still in the pits. Suisse Joubert is still in the pits, and he's about to start moving. And in fact, there he's going to start moving on his way out. So yes, I think your prediction was correct. No, there they come. It's going to be Suisse Joubert and Willem Botha. Oh!
This is going to be a nice battle.
Close. So close. But look at that further forward, Frankie. Sandro Bakari. Sandro Bakari is all over the back of the comeback kid. Robbie Teings.
Yeah, that's that fight out there for 5th position. Bakari in P6. And Teings goes into pit lane. Robbie Teings goes into the pit lane. So Sandro Bakari says, well, I'll just take the 72 Honda HPD and just keep on trucking. And he is there in that 5th position is Sandro Bakari.
Sure, that also promotes Graham Stephen back up into that 6th position as he passed Robbie Teings. Then Willem Botha will be the next man. Let's see if Willem Botha can do another catch up there with that one and work himself into that 7th position, as he was 40 seconds behind Teings when he entered the pits.
Sandro Bakari with the open space in front of him, 7 positions up. Well, Herman Lazarus just 3 seconds ahead of him, and Herman himself also 5 positions up as well. So a couple of the big hitters that have lost out and have fallen to the tail end of the field.
So Sandro Bakari is 3.5 seconds behind Lazarus. And that's the next man. He's going to have missile lock on to try and lap. He's a Sandro Bakari. He's got some clear air there in front of him, so he can go hell for leather with that 72 Honda HPD.
FC, was that a double dive into the corner?
Yeah, very much so. You could see Bakari sawing away at that steering wheel to try and catch it there without losing the back end. Luckily managed to save that one and not lose too much time for Sandro Bakari.
Oh, poor Johan Engelbert finds himself back in the pits again. So with 41 minutes of the 45 gone, Frankie, let's go through the top 10.
Right, that man you see there, P1, Francois Hubert, will that mistake that Johan Fourie hand this one to him on a platinum platter, never mind a gold or a silver platter. Fourie must go, and he must go now. He's 2.1 seconds behind him, make that 2 seconds behind Francois Hubert. Right in there in that third position, 9.7 seconds behind Johan Fourie. His third place man, Luke Lucchesi. If Luke finishes third, you'll say, wow, man, I really didn't expect this. However, 5.1 seconds behind him is the 5 Honda HPD of Peter Hubert in that fourth position. P5 FC, 9.6 seconds behind Peter Hubert is the 72 of Sandro Bakari.
Yeah, the Ferrari-coloured Honda HPD there of Sandro Bakari in P5, followed by Graham Stephen, who's a further 10 seconds behind Bakari. Then Robbie Teings, 20 seconds behind Stephen in that 7th position, with Willem Botha that finds himself in a P8 in the number 3 Toyota Denso car, with Swayze Hubert and Gerald Maget rounding off your top 10.
Yeah, that is your top 10. Then just out of the top 10, there goes Maget. He's the last man in the top 10. Hammer Lazarus, 15 seconds in P11 behind Maget. That's there in that 10th position. And then 7.9 seconds behind Lazarus in the top dozen is Stephen McCarthy.
Oh, that's the top 12, one lap down. Well, everybody in the front 12 positions on the same lap. Then Colin Plitt, but remember, he's one of the people that's had 3 pit stops. Then we've got Captain Peter van der Spey. He's also one of the people that have had 3 stops. We've got Raymond Duggan. He's also one of the people that have had 3 stops. And then Leonardo Bakari, the last of the people that is still in the race, that ended up with the 3 stoppers. So with 43 and a half minutes to go, it looks like the man in black and white, Francois Hubert, is going to do it ahead of Johan.
Oh, he makes a mistake. No. He makes a mistake.
And there's Johan.
Fourie. There's Fourie that passes him on the outside, and Johan Fourie reclaims the lead of this race.
Frankie, who's leading the race? Johan Fourie.
Well, I told you what, Fourie made the mistake. And then he gave that lead to Hubert. In return, Hubert makes the mistake and gives that lead back to Johan Fourie. At that point in time, Fourie was 1.7 seconds behind him, and now it's all over by the shouting. You're now not going to catch and beat Johan Fourie.
How does he get it right?
1 minute to go in this race, and Johan Fourie finds himself in that lead as they start their next lap, going into turn number 1. Then they're going to go into that short straight that leads into Clayton Corner. Is Johan Fourie that drop down into turn number 2? Is Fourie. Then it's a quick dash all the way down into corner number 3. That is Quebec Corner. As he goes through Quebec Corner for the last time, your race leader, Johan Fourie. Now it's that long dash up to Moss Corner as he goes underneath the Continental Bridge and into that left-hander. Now it's into turn number 5 where he made his mistake earlier. Almost did it again as he leads them out of Moss Corner into the Mario Andretti straight.
What's the chances he makes a mistake on the last lap? Surely that 1.2 seconds gap must be enough for him to be at ease. But there's traffic. Manuk and Colin Plitt right in front of him.
Yeah, he has got Plitt. He's only 4/10 of a second behind Plitt. Oh, this is going to be tight. This is going to be tight. Colin Plitt must just hold his line. Colin Plitt, Fourie has got, look at that. It's less than a second. He's right there behind him. He's Francois Hubert, but it's not going to be enough. Johan Fourie hits the line and wins by only 7/10 of a second ahead of Francois Hubert.
What a finish to this race. Lucchesi crosses the line in 3rd position, 10 seconds down the road, followed by Peter Hubert, who brings it home in P4. Next man through will be that Ferrari-coloured Honda HPD of Sandro Bakari as he comes around White's Corner and down the straight to cross the finish line in P5.
Running off the top 6 is Graham Stephen, 9.5 seconds behind Sander Bakari, working his way out of White's corner onto the home straight, and he will finish there in that 6th position. Here comes Robbie Teens, 23.5 seconds in P7 behind Graham Stephen is Robbie Teens, and he will finish this one on the lead lap as he goes into White's corner for the final time. He'll finish on the lead lap in P7.
The next man that'll bring it around is that number 3 Toyota Denso car of Willem Botha. Around the final corner he comes. What a race meeting he has had out there as well. Having started in a 5th position, dropped all the way down to the back end of the field, and having fought his way back up into 8th position. And that, gentleman, is race.
And only those 8 cars on the lead lap.
Sure. It's almost tiring. It's amazing. It's utterly brilliant stuff. You couldn't wish hope for more. And I think the last race of the season has turned out to be the best race of the season. There is no doubt about that.
Well, forgive us if we spoke over each other every now and then. And yes, we did. And you can't blame us. It was so damn exciting.
Well, there we have the final classification of the 10th round of the Sports and GT Master Series. Johan Free bringing it home in P1, followed by Francois Hubert, 7/10 of a second between the two of them, with Luke Lucchesi bringing it home in P3, followed by Peter Hubert and Sandra Bakari in that top 5 position.
Yeah, then Graham Stephen and Robbie Teens and Willem Botha. They were the only 8 cars on the lead lap. Okay, FC, driver of the day and bad luck of the day.
That's an awkward one.
You're going to laugh at me now for saying this. Initially, I thought it would be the same person. Driver of the day, Willem Botha, having fought his way through that field and finishing on the lead lap, having had all the bad luck that he had. But I'm going to change my mind now, and I'm going to say this is one of the best races he's had in a long, long time.
You're going to say Peter Hubert or Sandra Bakari?
Sandra Bakari.
Yes.
Definitely Sandra Bakari.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Bad luck, but I'm going to go with Peter van der Spy on this.
Peter van der Spy or Willem Botha.
Bad luck, Captain Pete.
Yeah,
Boom.
Willem fought his way back onto the lead lap into P8, and he finished in the top 10. So my nominee, gents, would certainly be Captain Peter van der Spy.
Well, I think it's been an amazing season. Sports and GT Masters Series. We started off with Sports and GT. The youngsters killed us. We went to Sports and GT Masters. This is the final round for the Sports and GT Masters. And, well, it's been utterly amazing. Really, really amazing. Is it 10 or is it 12 rounds? I'm not 100% sure. I seem to think that this is the last one. But keep an eye on the page to make sure. On the Sports and GT page, if there is another one coming up, I speak under correction, but I do think that that is the season alla grande finale. FC Nieuwoud, from the Second Gear studio, is there no more? Is that the lot? There's one more to go.
There is one more.
There's 2 more to go.
2 more to go.
Well, that's brilliant stuff. If that's the case, either way, we will come back to you with that information once it's been finalized. FC, it's been an honor and a pleasure to have you in the studio for the better part of this series and numerous other series. I think a higher note than this, we couldn't have ended on in round number 10. There's no doubt.
Definitely not. And I must say, what an honor and a pleasure it is to be part of Second Gear Productions and the Sports and GT Master Series. And hey, if this is where the series is going, I can't wait for more, gents. But from my side, FC Nieuwoud, it was wonderful being here with you. Till next time.
Yeah, what an awesome round 10 we've had. And man, brilliant stuff. Absolutely fantastic. And as I said earlier on, forgive us if we were shouting over each other here, because I think this was definitely one of the most exciting ones for the record books. Have a lovely weekend further, and or should I say week further, and we'll see you soon.
Yep, we'll be coming back to you with much more iRacing action. Thanks for those that join us on a regular basis. Well done to all the drivers, and good night to you from the Second Gear studio. Good night, everybody.